All right, strap in, everyone, because today we are going deep on a resume unlike any I've ever seen before.
I know.
We're talking about Xiaoming Tan,
Hmm.
and let me tell you, this guy has done it all.
Yeah.
Aviation, automotive, data analytics.
Systems engineering?
I mean, he's reached the top of multiple industries.
Absolutely. It's really quite remarkable.
So listeners, get ready to be inspired because we're about to unpack how he did it.
And maybe pick up a few tips for ourselves along the way.
Yeah. So right now, he is the CEO and Chief Design Officer of his own company.
2IS Engineering.
2IS Engineering. That in itself, that dual role, is pretty fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to have the vision, to run a business, the big picture thinking.
Right.
But then you also have to have that really deep technical knowledge to lead the design.
And to earn the respect of your engineering team.
Exactly.
It's a tough balance.
It is. It's a tough balance.
So let's jump into some of his key achievements here. In 2019, he won the Secretary's Transportation Safety Award.
Wow.
Now, that's not something they just give out to anybody, right?
Oh, no, definitely not. That's a huge deal.
What do you think it takes to win an award like that?
Well, you would have to have a truly significant impact on the industry.
Yeah.
Some kind of innovation or solution that demonstrably improves safety. We could be talking preventing accidents, really high stakes.
National scale impact.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because he's also got all these patents.
Oh, yeah.
He's clearly an innovator.
Tons of them.
And he was even ranked among the top 100 in the 2019 Create the Future Design Contest.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So we don't have details about what his entry was, but what does that tell you about his approach to problem solving?
Well, I mean, to be in the top 100 out of what must have been thousands of entries.
Yeah.
He must be a creative thinker, someone who is able to think outside the box, find really unique solutions to challenges.
So let's trace his career path a bit. He started out at Caterpillar.
Oh, yeah, good company.
A global powerhouse. Spent over a decade there. Then he moved to the U.S. Department of Transportation. What do you think about that shift? Going from the corporate world to a government agency? That's a big change.
It is. But maybe he was looking for a way to have a broader impact, influence safety at a national level.
Make a difference.
Exactly.
From there, he joined Cakebox Technologies, eventually becoming their chief technical officer.
Smaller company. More agile.
And then, of course, he founded his own company, 2IS Engineering.
Right.
So you see this pattern, right? Moving from these big companies to smaller and smaller organizations.
Yeah. I mean, it could be he wanted more control, more direct impact, maybe the kind of environment where he could really use all of his skills.
And he's certainly got a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at his resume, just a variety of roles he's held: general manager, key product design engineer, CAD project engineer. It's pretty amazing.
Well, and that's reflected in his core competencies too, right? He's got expertise in executive leadership, global engineering, design, manufacturing, analysis, process improvement.
The list goes on and on.
It does.
And he also has a master's and a PhD in mechanical engineering, plus a Six Sigma Green Belt certification.
Oh. Committed to lifelong learning, clearly.
So it's not just about working hard, is it?
No, not at all.
Why?
He's clearly invested in developing his skills and knowledge in a very strategic way.
Okay, I'm curious about something. The technical proficiencies section. He lists all this specific software. Natrin, ProMechanica, AnsYS, SolidWorks.
Right.
How important is it for someone at his level, a CEO, to have that deep technical knowledge, that software expertise?
I think it's crucial.
Really?
Yeah. Let's say he's got to make a decision about a new manufacturing process. Imagine if he can not only read the reports from his team, but actually dig into the software himself.
See the simulations.
Exactly. And really understand the details. It builds trust with your team.
So it's not just about knowing the software exists, it's about being able to actually use it.
Right. And it shows he's staying current, which is so important in a field like engineering where the tech is constantly evolving.
One last thing I want to touch on, his professional and community engagement. He's held leadership positions in a bunch of different organizations.
It's impressive.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think it shows he's not just focused on himself. He cares about giving back to his community and his profession.
And sharing his knowledge.
Yes, and building relationships. Those are all important leadership qualities.
Absolutely. So we're starting to get a picture of what makes this guy tick.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
I agree. There's a lot more to unpack here. We were talking about Xiaoming Tan being kind of a T-shaped individual.
Right, with the deep expertise and the broad skills.
Exactly.
Okay, so break that down for me a little bit. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with that term, what makes someone T-shaped?
So picture the letter T, the vertical line. That's the deep expertise.
Okay.
Like in Tan's case, that's mechanical engineering.
Right.
But then you've got the horizontal line, which represents a whole range of other skills and knowledge.
Ah, okay, I see. So it's not just about being really good at one thing.
No, not at all. You need that breadth, too. Leadership, communication, problem solving, things like that.
So you're saying he's not just a brilliant engineer, he's also a well-rounded leader who can adapt to different situations.
Exactly. And that's becoming more and more important in today's world. Things are changing so fast, you need to be able to wear different hats.
So are you saying everyone needs to be T-shaped to be successful?
Well, I think it's a good model to strive for. It's about recognizing the value of both depth and breadth.
Okay, but realistically, not everyone can be an expert in everything.
Right, of course.
So for our listeners who are thinking, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually apply this to my own career? What advice would you give them?
Focus on developing your core skills, absolutely. But then actively look for opportunities to learn new things. Step outside your comfort zone a little bit.
Don't be afraid to try new things.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Building relationships with people in different fields can really open your eyes to new possibilities.
So you never know what might spark a new interest or lead to an unexpected opportunity.
Right.
And that actually reminds me of something we touched on earlier about Xiaoming Tan's commitment to lifelong learning. He's constantly seeking out new knowledge, new challenges. He's got the master's degree, the PhD, the Six Sigma certification.
He's not just resting on his laurels.
No, definitely not.
He's always pushing himself to grow.
So is that what you mean by that growth mindset?
Exactly. You have to be curious. You have to be willing to learn and adapt, especially in a field like engineering where the technology is constantly evolving.
Okay, so we've talked about his achievements, his diverse skill set, his commitment to learning. But there's another aspect of his career that I think is really interesting, his global perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his experience. Caterpillar, a global corporation.
The U.S. Department of Transportation.
Cake Box Technologies, operating in multiple industries.
And now his own company with global reach. He's clearly comfortable working on an international stage.
He is. And that's such a valuable asset in today's world. Businesses are global, technology is global, even the challenges we face, like climate change, are global.
So you're saying it's not enough to just be good at what you do. You need to be able to understand and navigate different cultures and perspectives.
Exactly. And that's something you can develop even if you're not traveling the world.
How so?
Well, engage with diverse communities, learn about different cultures, follow international news. There are so many ways to expand your horizons.
So even if you're not physically going global, you can still develop that global mindset.
Absolutely. And it will make you a more well-rounded individual and a more effective leader.
So to recap, we've got the T-shaped skills, the commitment to learning, and now the global perspective.
All important ingredients in Xiaoming Tan's success formula.
All right, but let's shift gears a bit and talk about his career path itself, because it's not exactly what you'd call linear.
That's right. He hasn't just climbed the ladder in one company or even one industry.
He zigzagged a bit.
He has. And that's becoming more and more common these days, especially for people who are driven by curiosity and a desire to make a real impact.
It's like he's building a portfolio of experiences.
Exactly. A portfolio career. And that can be really valuable because it allows you to adapt to changing circumstances and pursue different passions.
So for our listeners who might be feeling a little stuck in their current careers, what advice would you give them based on what we've learned from Xiaoming Tan's journey?
I would say don't be afraid to explore different options. It's okay to make a lateral move or even take a step back in order to move forward in a new direction.
So it's not always about climbing the ladder.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's about broadening your horizons and gaining new experiences.
So be open to new possibilities, be willing to learn, and don't be afraid to take a few risks along the way.
Exactly. And remember, your career is a journey, not a destination. So enjoy the ride and make the most of every opportunity.
Great advice. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about his achievements, his skills, his global perspective, and his nonlinear career path.
Right. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has. But I feel like there's still one more layer we need to unpack. And that's the courage to take risks and embrace the unknown.
Mm,
It's like he's not afraid to just completely switch gears,
yeah.
Like he'll be in a leadership role and then he'll move to something more hands-on.
Hmm.
It's not the typical career path, where you just climb the ladder.
No, it's not. It's definitely more about following his interests and, pursuing those opportunities where he can really learn and grow.
Even if it means taking a step back, maybe?
Exactly.
Like he's not afraid to experiment. And I think that's something that a lot of people, they might be hesitant to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
So for those listeners out there who maybe are thinking about making a change, but are feeling a little bit stuck,
Right.
what advice would you give them based on, what we've seen with Xiaoming Tan's career?
Well, I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to embrace the unknown. Like that fear of the unfamiliar can really hold people back.
Right.
And, he's shown us that sometimes the most rewarding paths are the ones that aren't as well traveled.
But isn't there a risk of like spreading yourself too thin?
Sure.
If you're constantly jumping between different industries and roles, how do you really develop that deep expertise?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's about being really intentional about the moves that you make.
Okay.
So, you're not just kind of a jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
It's more about, figuring out those core skills and knowledge areas that are transferable across different fields.
So build on those.
Exactly. And then look for those experiences that, they deepen those competencies, but they also, allow you to branch out a bit.
So it's kind of like that T-shaped idea we were talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. It's finding that balance
Finding that balance.
between specializing and generalizing.
Right, right.
And I think it's also helpful to think about your career as like, a portfolio.
Okay.
So you're building up this collection of experiences
Yeah.
that showcase your skills and your adaptability.
Like showing your range. Right?
Exactly. You're showing potential employers, hey, I can solve problems. I can adapt to new environments.
Yeah, makes you more valuable. Well, this has been such a fascinating deep dive. I mean, we've gone way beyond just, listing achievements and job titles.
Right.
We've really gotten into the mindset and the strategies that have made Xiaoming Tan so successful.
And I think what's really cool is that these are principles that anyone can apply,
Right.
no matter where you are in your career.
It's about being intentional, being proactive.
And open to new possibilities.
Yeah. So to our listeners, you don't have to have a PhD or be a CEO to, take these lessons to heart.
Exactly.
It's about cultivating that growth mindset.
Being willing to step outside your comfort zone.
So as we wrap up here, think about what resonated with you the most.
Mm-hmm.
What steps can you take to apply these insights to your own career journey?
What unique contributions are you ready to make to the world?
Your career is your canvas. So get out there and create your own masterpiece.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But the learning doesn't stop here.
Keep exploring, keep growing.
Keep diving deep.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.